Hi there, Rob Brown, host of the Accounting Influencers podcast, and I'm thrilled that on behalf of Fibre CRM, we're here with Ian Thompson of Star. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Rob.
Great to have you with us, Ian, and we're here to talk about the collaboration, the partnership between you and Fibre CRM. So for the benefit of people watching and listening that don't know who you are, just tell us briefly who Star actually is.
Well, Star was a software company founded in 1973 and really has always focused on software for accountancy firms. What we've become over the years is a specialist provider of higher level ERP style, if you like, practice management software. And for the last couple of years, we've been part of the Irish software group as well.
Yeah, now software is a big space, and even ERP and things like that is big. So what specifically does Star do? Why is it a bit special?
So one of the things that we do is, besides having very deep and rich functionality for time and billing and the traditional areas of practice management, we also have other significant cornerstones to the product, one of which would be budgeting and scheduling of jobs, another which is the sort of due date workflow management aspect, and the fourth one, in fact, is a CRM component. But one of the things about our CRM component is that it's essentially a lighter touch. It does the essentials of what a practice might be looking for a CRM component to do. And it's really because it goes to a point and doesn't try to go beyond that, and that's really where you get into a connection with Fibre CRM.
Yeah, we're going to explore that a little bit more today. The firms that use you, they tend to be the larger firms, don't they, Ian?
Yes, I mean, we've worked with all of the big four firms, or even big five if you go back far enough, over the years. And today we still continue to work with a number of the big four firms in significant ways around the world. We also have clients in pretty much every one of the major networks, the sort of HLBs and Braxities and more firms like that, or members of firms who are members of organizations like that, as well as other sizable practices who are not necessarily in an association but are of a size that they're looking for something a bit more advanced when it comes to practice management.
Yeah, that makes sense. And take us back a little bit. When you mentioned that Star is light touch with its CRM component, you obviously recognized that you needed a weightier partner in this. So talk to us about how you came across Fibre and what synergies you saw there.
Well, it's a small world in a way, because Simon Leek, who's one of the founders of Fibre CRM, we've known Simon at Star for going back over 20 years when he was involved with the previous generation CRM application. So the connection and the relationship goes back a long way. But what particularly interested us with Fibre CRM was that we thought it provided a good mid-range solution, because Star has a lighter touch CRM, as we were talking about a moment ago, which covers essentially sort of email blasts and opportunity tracking type stuff. And then, of course, you've got your heavyweights at the top end, which can be very expensive and be very time consuming to implement, and C, in fact, are not always successful, having gone to that much time and effort and money. So a lot of our clients, for the sizes of firm that we're dealing with, are not necessarily looking for something that expansive on the CRM side. What they're looking for is a solution which takes care of the typical needs of an accountancy firm in the CRM space, not trying to do CRM for anybody and everything anywhere, which obviously some of the bigger products are capable of doing if you were to try and make them do that.
Yeah, and it must be an advantage that Fibre CRM is exclusively for accounting firms, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, there are a number of aspects to that. The first is that the terminology used is accountant specific within the application. The fact that it has specially built out pieces like processes for onboarding clients and generating letters of engagement, again, is very much what the accounting space is looking for. And the fact that the way the integration works with Fibre, between Fibre and Star, is such that a lot of information can be passed across, not just name and address type data, but deeper, richer financial information, market sector information, lines of work, service lines that you're providing for clients information. And all of that can go into Fibre, because again, Fibre is built to receive that kind of information and work with it and present it back out to partners and marketing specialists in accounting firms.
Yeah, so as well as the personal relationship with Simon Leek, and that always helps, doesn't it, in collaborations, partnerships like this, it sounds like the Fibre CRM solution was really standing out with all of your options when you're back then choosing a partner.
Yes, I mean, we weren't really aware, and we're obviously very involved in the market, but we didn't really see a solution out there that really fitted into the space in the same way and succeeded in the same way that Fibre was doing. Fibre was out there, and we already had some common clients, but we hadn't got connected at that time. And it was that other angle of having common clients in addition to the relationship with Simon that I mentioned, which is also what gave us the confidence to start getting into a dialogue and saying, yeah, this is a firm we think we can partner with and we can recommend, because we already know we've got clients using it. We know those clients are happy with it. There's a lot of synergies here.
Yeah. And in closing, Ian, what words of wisdom would you give to people watching that they might pass on to star customers who are looking for CRM? Because there's a lot of great stuff happening here.
Well, I think the first part is to think about what you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. A lot of firms are tempted to rush into a CRM project, but they don't necessarily have a clear vision as to what they want to achieve as a goal or how they want to get there. So I think adoption and working with a partner who really understands accountancy firms and has that expertise to bring to bear is really key, which again is Fibre in a position to do.
That's a strategic decision, isn't it? It's not just a functional one at that point.
It is, and it needs engagement of partners in the firm, all the way through the process, not necessarily in detail every step of the way, but they do need to be sort of on the scene and available to talk to and to be involved and to make decisions, because a real success in an area like this, to my mind, is that you have to have engagement of partners through the project, as well as with the people in the firm who are tasked with the mechanics of making the marketing work, if you like. So it's very much a key point. Likewise, for example, how you want your integrations with Star to work. People will have Star configured very, very differently. They'll want Fibre probably configured differently because their needs are different. And so how that integration needs to work, what information you want to pass backwards and forwards between Star and Fibre and so on, it all needs careful thought and planning and consideration and testing through the implementation period. CRM is becoming ever more central to how an accountancy firm wants to work in the 21st century, and you can't just sort of tack it on as an afterthought. It needs to be really front and center of what you're doing as a practice when it comes to software.
Yeah, and ultimately, with an answer like Fibre, adoption's much more likely, and it's much more cost-effective long term, isn't it?
It is, because, again, one of the pitfalls of many CRM systems is that they're not connected to the practice management system, which is often seen to be the source of truth. Or if they are connected, the connection's kind of clunky. And so the fact that Fibre, is looking at Star every couple of minutes to make sure that the data is completely refreshed and things like that, it is key. And that depth of integration that I've already mentioned is another key part of that. So firms looking to have that value, it's there to be exploited, but you need to figure out exactly how you're going to go about doing it. Having done that, it is true to say that it is not the same scale or level of implementation as some of these enterprise CRM systems. So yes, there is work to do, but it's not the same level of undertaking, which means it's much more practical for something like Fibre to be a cost-effective proposition for a much wider range of accountancy firms than something at the top end, the firms that the names that we all know about would otherwise be. As an example, some of the high-end systems, their seat price per user can be hundreds of pounds, which means that firms have to turn around and make a decision as to who in the firm is worthy of a license and who misses out. The way that Fibre is priced means that everybody in the firm who goes anywhere near a client can be a user of Fibre and can see that data and use it, and can also contribute back into that database as well, rather than it being a sort of us and them approach, which again has been the pitfall for many a CRM implementation in accountancy firms in the past.
Yeah, Ian Thompson, this has been terrific. In closing, it does seem like Fibre ticks all the boxes for you, doesn't it? So you made a good decision back then to partner with them.
Absolutely. No, they not only is it a great product, but they're also great people to work with. And, the client satisfaction that we hear coming back from our mutual clients is extremely positive, and just makes us all more convinced that we made the right decision.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for your education and your insights today. That's been inspiring.
My pleasure, Rob.